Welcome back to the Sound Meets Sound podcast. For this episode, I thought I'd do a Making of Which Amiss Part 2. Which Amiss, my comedy pilot that I am independently producing. We shot it earlier in March. It was a very great, exhausting, physically taxing, creatively fulfilling several days. We shot for 3 days, but then there were several days beforehand. We had a pre-light day and just a lot of production stuff to do. So it was a whole thing. I was very sleep deprived. But it went really well, and I'm so happy about it. And I just wanted to share what I learned from the production phase of making my own pilot. My previous episode was on the pre-production of the pilot, which was weeks and weeks and weeks of preparing to actually film. I'm glad that I put as much effort into the pre-production phase as I did with my team because it meant filming went really well. We were late every single day, which was hard for me, which leads me to my first lesson learned for this, and something that I will think about next time I do a production is lie to everyone about when your hard out is. The first 2 days, hard out meaning you have to be out of the space or repercussions will happen. So we had a hard out of 3 p.m. the first 2 days in our first location, and a hard out of 7 p.m. on the third day in the second location. I should have told everyone the hard outs were 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. because we were between 30 and 60 minutes overtime every day. And it was very stressful because there were some minor repercussions, nothing catastrophic, groundbreaking, that's the wrong word. Catastrophic is better. They were minor repercussions, but it was very frustrating. It's something I knew and I should have planned for because I know the way that film sets work. Interestingly, if we had been shooting a multicam pilot in a studio, they're much stricter about the schedules, and they're much better about getting everyone out on time because you have to start paying overtime. But in these independent productions, it's you're dealing with so many variables, and the team is all new to each other. So it was hard to get everyone out, literally packed up and out on the sidewalk, which is what I kept telling people. I was like, we can't be packing up at 3. We have to be on the sidewalk at 3. So yes, that was difficult, but minor repercussions. And I was kind of expecting it because every indie production I've ever been on has been like that. So it's just the nature of the beast, so to speak. So next time I will lie to everyone about the hard out, and then maybe we'll actually get out on time. In everyone's defense, the first 2 filming days especially were exceptionally short. We only had the space from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., which is a very short filming day, and we were doing 5 pages per day. So it was a lot, 2 to 3 scenes. I think it ended up being 3 to 4 scenes every day. So I get why we ran over because we really didn't have enough time. So the second lesson I learned was production assistance. I was thinking a bunch of us can double up and we don't need to hire so many PAs. And the thing is, most of us were already doubling up. I was like quintupling up, thinking that I could pick up the slack more than I could. So, next time, especially if I'm wearing as many hats as I wore this time, I'm hiring my own personal PA. Like it just to be on set with me and to help with things. That really would have helped. Like the pre-light day, I forgot this lens adapter that I had bought for the DP, and I get there and he's like, Muni Bangash, who was awesome. He was like, "Hey, where's the lens adapter you promised me?" And I'm like, "It's like 80 blocks away at my hotel," which was a fifth floor walk up, like 2-star hotel. So I had to race down there, race up the 5 flights of stairs, get it out of the safe in my hotel room where I had locked it up, and go back. Basically lost an hour of me being there for pre-light. So if I had had a PA, they could have done that. Or they could have like reminded me. And just in general, more PAs. It's tricky because for every person you add to the set, you have to feed them, and there has to be room for them to be there. These were very tight, on the tight side in terms of space-wise, and the budget for the food was tight. Although, shout out to Mirne Shim, who ran craft services and just sent me all the receipts and made it in under budget. Shout out Mirne. That's some great witchcraft on brand. There we go, on brand. No pun intended there. So yeah, just more helpers. Yeah, that was the second lesson for sure. I think the other lessons I learned, I think maybe I should have seen the shot lists before we started shooting. I was leaving that totally up to the director, Amiss, and the DP, who I mentioned before. Awesome artists and people to work with. So great to work with. But the sum of the shot lists, and I'm sure it'll pay off. It's going to look great. I'll be happy that it happened in this post-production phase, but especially some of the kids' things, I feel like we could have done without a couple of the shots. And the shot list is basically they like the photography team, basically the director and the director of photography, go through and say, okay, we want a medium shot of this, and then we want a close-up of like this portion of the scene. They did some rail thing where they like put the camera on rails and pushed it in or pulled it out for a cool effect, from this angle or that angle, getting everyone's coverage, but maybe not doing it for the whole scene. So the shot list just tells you where the camera's going to be throughout filming a scene. And I was starting to feel bad for the kids at certain points, especially the third day. We had just one child actor there, Amelia Palmatier, who all the kids just did such a fantastic job. It was truly humbling how hard they worked. And they left smiling and saying that they had fun. And that was, honestly, that was such a huge thing I was stressing out about before filming. Was I wanted the kids to feel safe, protected, and hopefully like they were having fun. And it seems like all of those things, from what I've heard from everyone, all of those things came true. So I'm extremely happy about that. And all the crew were so great with the child actors. It was ranging between 9 and 12. So pretty young children. It's not like a 16-year-old pretending to be 12, which is my only other experience working with a child actor. So, but yeah, that third filming day, Amelia, who plays Missy, it was just going on and on and on, and I could tell she was getting tired and hungry. And luckily, the AD, Naeem Greenwood, who was also great AD, really great at taking my stress and not taking it personally, which is good because he was also stressed. That's just the AD's MO, is stress. And I think the showrunner, which is what I was. It's just you're stressed. You're just stressed the whole time. But like in a good way, because you're making something you're enjoying. But you're stressed. So he was like, oh, I'll get her some peanut M&Ms and all this. So, but yeah, I think that's the third lesson, is if I'm going to be the showrunner and executive producer, especially if I'm also acting in all the scenes, which I did in almost every scene, I'd like to see the shot list ahead of time and say, hey, what if we just maybe not did this? Or can we change this around so that the child actor can leave earlier? Which I did. I did spend a lot of time thinking through the scenes. And I was the one basically to come up with like, okay, we're shooting all the multiple child actor scenes on one day. We're not asking all 4 child actors to come on 2 days. Let's get it all done in one day. Get all the teacher scenes done in one day, all the witch scenes done in one day, so that the actors didn't have to come in multiple days. The only actor who had to was Amelia, and Carrie, who plays Christy, had to come in twice, but she was there the whole time anyway, because she was also a producer, a co-executive producer. So yes, and yeah, major shout out to Carrie Evans. She was the one who got us the Lenox Hill neighborhood house locations for the school classroom scenes and the faculty office scenes, which was so awesome because it was those scenes just look so real. There was some set dressing that happened. Paige McAllister, our production designer, art department head, did do some set dressing, which was awesome, and she was great and made me my favorite prop of the whole shoot, which I'll get to. But overall, the reality of the setting was already there because we were in an actual school-ish kind of setting. And same with the brownstone that we rented for the third day. So at the outset of this, I was like, oh, I want to shoot on a sound stage or in a studio. And then as I started to realize how expensive that would be to build sets for everything, even with the minimal, I think we only had it would only have been like 3 sets we would need to build, but it was enough that I realized that was too lofty a goal, at least for this production. But the reason I wanted to do that was because I've shot on so many indies where it's just awkward, like having enough room to set up the camera and having enough room for a makeshift video village for everyone to look at the monitors, and for all the actors who are waiting for their scene, and all the crew who are doing other things, like holding areas for them and places to put the food. It can get very difficult, and it really was difficult the third day at the brownstone. There wasn't quite enough room for everyone. So that's why I wanted to do it on a sound stage, and I think it would be great to produce something that shoots on a sound stage, because we also just had to hold for sound several times, because at Lenox Hill Neighborhood House an ambulance would go by, or at the brownstone, the owner of the brownstone, her little grandsons came home early from school, and they were adorable, but they didn't quite understand that they needed to be quiet, and they could be heard very clearly. So it was a little frustrating because we had rented that space, and this wasn't the hour that we were over. This was like well into the time we had rented it. But again, our AD Naeem would just go upstairs and be like, hey, can the littles be quiet for, just for a little bit? So again, this is why shooting on a soundstage is why professional studios do it. So yeah, that's, I don't remember what number I'm on. I think that was number 3, the shot list. 4, I would have been a little more intentional with crafty. I was so stressed. Mireille was like, let me just take this whole thing off your plate, which she did to great success. I'm not saying any of it was bad, but I do think she was kind of having to scramble because I hadn't really communicated to her exactly what we needed as clearly as I could. Kind of because I didn't know, Now I can say, this isn't my first time doing this anymore. Great. I'll know. So yeah, crafty is, I think, the 4th lesson. Crafty meaning craft services. So if you're going to have an actor, and especially if your crew is going to be there the whole day, you're going to have to serve at least one meal. Usually it's lunch. People also kind of expect some kind of breakfast stuff if their call times before like 9 a.m., which I didn't know. Lesson learned, because our call time was 8 a.m. those 2 days, and my AD was like, yeah, you should really have breakfast. So we did. But yeah, like getting in all the water, like Mireille, the crafty person, who is really kind of the unit production manager / coordinator. Like her title was crafty, but she was really doing a lot of coordination beyond crafty. She was just having to run around and get the waters and the breakfasts and stuff, and she really should have had her own PA too. Lesson learned, I guess, number 5 has to do with the equipment. And I don't know that I'm not sure I'm calling it a lesson learned or just a fulfillment of the stress that I knew was going to happen around getting the equipment from the storage unit to the location, from the location A to location B, and back to the storage unit. There were several nights before filming and during filming, honestly, that because it was something we were figuring out on the go, where I would wake up at like 4 a.m. going, who's going to drive the van? Like, who's going to drive the van? Was just something that would keep me up at night. I didn't really know how it all worked. And I drive. Like, I grew up in Florida, spent 25 years there. I drove. I always say I drove enough for like 2 lifetimes when I lived in Florida, because all my friends went to different colleges. Florida's a very big state. I had to go visit them. I drove to Atlanta a few times. I drive, but I have not driven regularly since 2004, and I was not keen on driving a Sprinter van in the New York City as like one of my big first re-entry into driving. It's another reason why I don't know that I could make it in LA. I really despise being inside a car, whether I'm driving it or sitting in the passenger seat. I really hate it. I'd so much rather be on a train or a plane. So yeah, anyway, the van, so a Sprinter van is like a regular kind of cargo van, but it's tall. It's got a little bit of height on it. So it's one of those like tall cargo vans. And another shout out to Josh Friedman at Crew Me Up. He's the CEO of Crew Me Up and also someone with 20 plus years of industry experience. He I think I talked about this in the last episode, but we lost access to all our equipment. And a script supervisor, the original script supervisor attached to the project, was like, wait, I know someone who can get you affordable equipment, because we basically had no budget for it. Anyway, major shout out to Josh Friedman, because we got equipment. It didn't kill us budget wise, and was certainly way less than industry standard. So I don't know how I could ever sufficiently pay him back for that, other than if I can come up with the money that I should have paid him. And he gave me a good. I will recommend C&C courier car rental in New York City. Great guys. They were all guys to work with. Open 24 hours. I think they have 5 locations, 2 in Queens and 3 in Manhattan. For only a fee of $25, they let me pick up in one location and drop off in another. They were just so great to work with. I'm so glad I didn't have to deal with U-Haul for this. So yeah, C&C rental if you're ever shooting in New York City. So yeah, Josh graciously agreed, and I paid him. I didn't ask him to do it for free, to drive the van from Queens, pick the van up in Long Island City, drive it to Ridgewood, which is also in Queens, if you're not into New York City, Queens neighborhoods, and then load it up, get it to the Upper East Side where Lenox Hill neighborhood house is, and then we unloaded it, and he took the van back to Long Island City. So that was the first van, Sprinter van trip taken care of, and I was very happy because we were lock and walk for Friday and Saturday, Friday being the pre-light. So lock and walk meaning you leave the equipment on site because it's secure and you walk away. You don't have to reload the van every single night, which saved us so much time. And I'm so grateful that Josh let us do the lock and walk. It was his call. But the building was super secure, like too secure because we got in late on Sunday waiting for someone to let us in. So yeah, that having the lock and walk was great, except Josh was like, you need to take the lenses with you because those are by far the most valuable part of the package. Like insanely, I don't know if I should say how much, but it was a lot of money, more than I could ever hope to repay in a timely fashion if they got lost. So what I didn't realize when he was like, take the lenses with you, was that they were in this like super heavy, I swear it was like 50 pounds, and it was probably like 3 feet by 2 feet. It was so huge and heavy. And in case you forgot, I was staying in a 2-star hotel with no elevator on the 5th floor. I will say there was a guy there who graciously, if he was around, he would carry people's really heavy stuff up the stairs for them in place of an elevator. So I didn't have to take that thing up 5 flights every time, but most times I did. And yes, there was a lot of like huffing and puffing and like getting it up 1 flight of stairs and then like catching my breath and then getting it up another flight of stairs and catching my breath. It was the most physically challenging thing I think I've ever done. But I did it, and that's good. I felt very worked out by the end of this shoot. I just felt very like, oh, I'm not like bloated or anything, because all of that was just like sweated away getting these lenses around. So then the next equipment, part of the equipment saga was getting it from Lenox Hill up to South Harlem where the brownstone was. And so they had a pickup in Chelsea, which is where I was staying in the hotel. So Mireille and I were actually staying very near to each other. And so she was like, hey, do you want me to drive the van? She's from California, like drives all the time. And I was like, yes, please. So we went at like 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m., picked up the Sprinter van. We're driving up, I think, 3rd Avenue. I can't remember which ones go north and south. Some East Side Avenue. And I'm like, we're driving. She's doing a great job. And I'm like, hey, is this the first time you've ever driven in New York City? And she's like, yep. I just love that. She just like, no hesitation. I'm going to drive for the first time in New York City in a giant Sprinter van on a Monday morning. So I really can't shout out Mayor Nay, who is a former guest of the podcast, enough for this production. And it was just so much fun having her there, honestly, like having a friend there and a music collaborator there. So we got it to Lenox Hill, loaded it up, location A, loaded up, and drove to, then at that point, Naeem, the AD, agreed to drive it to South Harlem, managed to find a parking spot. We had great parking luck every time, which just felt so like a kiss from the universe, considering how difficult all this was. Got parked right in front of the Harlem Brownstone, right when the street cleaners were coming. So we just pulled away, let the street cleaner come through, and pulled right back in. And if you know, you know. And that was a great feeling. So unbeknownst to me, some of the equipment had been left at location A. We didn't find this out until like a week later. I had to go back in, get it, take it to Ridgewood. That was a whole deal, but whatever, it's over. But you know what? That's a lesson. That's lesson number 5 or 6. I think where equipment was lesson number 5, and this is a lesson in the equipment saga is do your own sweep. If you're producing something and you want to make sure all that equipment goes back, you go up to the location and you do your own sweep, because the 2 things that got left, I would have clocked immediately and gotten onto that van. But it was just early in the morning and I didn't do my own sweep. So anyway, we get it all to South Harlem, and then of course we pack up and are out of there an hour late that evening. But we got it all into the van. Again, Josh graciously agreed to drive it to Long Island City, or to drive it to Ridgewood, unload, drop the van off Long Island City. I mean, Josh really saved our bacon in so many ways. And he's now editing it. So that's great. He's a professional editor, member of the DGA. So we are currently in the editing process. Post-production has already begun, which if you've never worked on something, on an indie before, that's actually lightning fast. I've had to wait months and months and months and months to see footage of things I've acted in indies, just because that's just usually how it happens. Budgets are small, people are busy. So that the fact that it's being edited right now is a huge deal. I'm so excited. I did not want post-production to drag out forever. I want to get this on the festival circuit so that we can hopefully make it to some festivals, and then I can actually release it, or maybe someone buys it. I don't know. So I'm excited for that whole saga to happen sooner rather than later. So yeah, we got and we only lost like 3 very small pieces of equipment, which I'm still waiting for Josh to send me links so I can replace them. Like $13, a piece kind of deals, like very cheap, replaceable things. So I'm considering that a win for my first ever time renting film equipment. That's all that happened. Everything else got back in one piece in perfect condition. So yeah, 5 lessons. I think that's a good number of lessons to share with you all. I also just wanted this for myself so that the next time I do a production, I can listen to this and be like, what did I mess up last time? And really want to make sure I don't mess up again. So yeah, I will probably do a part 3 when post-production is finished or near the end. It's a really fascinating learning about it, what the editor does, and then the color grading, and then my sound part that I'll be doing. So stay tuned for part 3. And thank you for listening, and I'll see y'all next time. Wait. I didn't tell you about my favorite prop that Paige McAllister made me that I mentioned earlier. To refresh your memories, my character is a 600-year-old witch who's been in hibernation for the past 200 years. So basically, all modern technology is completely new to her. Her coven want her to have a cell phone. So they get her this really old flip phone. Shout out to my mom, who had an old flip phone of ours still. And I think it was like the family phone back when that was a thing. And we used that. And Carrie's character, Christy, gives me a set of handwritten notes to go with the phone to say, here's how to handwritten instructions, I should say. This is how you use the phone. And so I emailed Paige the night before we were going to film that scene, and I was like, I forgot to create this prop, this list of handwritten instructions. Can you make something up before filming? And she was like, of course, yeah. And she did such a great job. She took so much care. The calligraphy is beautiful, but what she wrote in it was so funny and believable. And I'm just going to read the instructions to you now. So she wrote, instructions for the use of the, quote, flip phone, end quote. And she says, to awaken the device, grasp the small black rectangle and flip it open. To send a written message, press the numbered runes repeatedly until the desired letter appears. If the device makes a shrill chirping noise, someone is attempting to contact you. Open the phone and press the green light before it grows impatient. I mean, come on. That's just like above and beyond. I almost cried when I saw it, because it was like the last day of shooting, and yes, I was extremely sleep deprived at that point. Every night I was just working on something for the shoot until like 11, and my wake up times were usually around 6, so I could get into makeup before getting to set. So and then just being really stressed, waking up a ton. I was very sleep deprived. So that's partly why I was crying when I saw it, but also just partly because it was just so thoughtfully and cleverly made. So it was just one of the many things. So yes, shout out to Paige McAllister. But it was just one of the many things that went well with this shoot that just fills my heart with blood, as they say. Fills my heart with happy blood. I can't say enough how happy I am with how production went. It was so worth all the stress and all the lack of sleep. And I'm just so excited for you all to see the finished product. Okay, and now I'm done. All right, thank you. Till next time. Bye.